you could choose to show your face or not show your face. I love when I can see your face because that way it feels like we're all sitting right here together. I'm right here with you. And then there's a chat on the right side of the screen. You should see you can press and chat with me directly. And Liana's on as well. She'll be managing comments. You can also physically raise your hand like that at any time or select over your picture to raise your hand and I may call on you. So that way I can do some live coaching and answering all of your live questions and answers at any time. So there'll be a big teaching segment of this and then I'll also be opening it up for questions and answers. So feel free to type questions at any time or raise your hand and I'm gonna stay on as long as we need to get through all of your questions. So first and foremost, thank you guys for joining me and for being here. I know it's not always easy to commit to yourself and block out time to focus on yourself. So thanks for taking that first step and entrusting with me. For those that don't know me yet or are new to me, I'm Natalie Jill. Nice to meet you. And what I do is I kill fat for a living. And I say that in every sense of the word. I help kill fat on our bodies, but I also help kill what I call false assumed truths. And those are beliefs that we've formed over time that have us stuck into where we are. So that's what I kill, and I'm excited to be your guide over this week. Now, just a few logistics on how to use this challenge and then how I'll be doing these Zooms, and then each night when I do the Zooms, we'll jump right into it. But the way that it's gonna work is throughout this challenge, I know many of you are in the Facebook group, some of you are not, but every morning in that Facebook group at 6 a.m. Pacific time, so that's 9 o'clock East Coast time, but every morning at 6 o'clock a.m. Pacific time, I'm gonna get on there and do a laser focused video. Today was a little bit longer than it normally will be because I wanna get right to the point because I know you guys all have busy schedules and I'm gonna be giving you an exercise that you can implement right away to help change your state, something that's nutrition oriented to help you focus there. And then I'm gonna be giving you one combination workout move that you can do using your own body weight anywhere that will help you shape, tone, and change the way that you view exercise for yourself. So that's what I'll be doing every morning. Throughout the day, we'll be answering questions, monitoring threads, may do some updated videos if I'm getting a lot of the same question. And then each night at 4 o'clock, I'm gonna do like this, a master class where I go deeper on some topics with you and open it up to live questions and answers. Now, the cool thing is I'll be recording the Zooms and the Facebooks for you. So some of you might have seen we emailed that out right after, and we'll continue to do that. So for any reason you can't be on, we will email you the replay so you can have this all there for you. So that's first and foremost. Are most of you in the Facebook group? Raise your hand, show of hands if you are in the Facebook group. Okay, awesome. I know, and if you are not in it, I highly encourage you to join because it's a great community and results happen faster, better, they stick with community. So it's a great tool to have. Plus we're there answering questions all day long. So I hope you'll join us over there. Okay, so ready to jump in to tonight. So the way it's gonna work is I'm gonna teach some and then I'm gonna open it up to questions. So the first thing I wanna point out and share with you all is that if goals were easy, we would have all achieved them already, right? So who knows that? Like if it was easy to have the body that we want or the finances that we want or the relationships that we want or whatever it is that we want, if that was an easy thing, we would all be there, right? We would have that. You wouldn't need me, you wouldn't need a plan, you wouldn't need anything else. It would just come easy. The problem is it's not that easy and it's become more complicated the more noise that we have online, the more things that we hear, the older that we get, the more beliefs that we form, it gets more complicated and somehow we get lost away from the simplicity of it all and how it should be. So goals are complicated and there's a lot of reasons for that. A lot of stuff in the media, a lot of noise online, a lot of our own beliefs, but goals aren't as easy. So I want you to know that your best thinking, like your absolute best thinking that you have got you to where you are exactly right now. So that's first and foremost. So your body, your finances, your career, your relationship, anything that's going on in your life, right, wrong, good, bad, neutral, your best thinking got you to exactly where you are right now today with that, right? That's what we knew. So our best thinking got us there. And to become a different version of ourselves, the best version of ourselves, we have to change the way that we think. And we have to follow that up with different actions because your best thoughts and your best actions got you to where you are today. And the thing is, it's really not your fault, because there's a system that we live in that we create these beliefs, and then we get validation about those beliefs, and we stay stuck there. We stay stuck there. So what that means is, if for instance, I'll take weight loss. A lot of you came here for weight loss. If you take weight loss as an example, what that means is you maybe at one time tried a diet or something, and maybe you didn't have success. And then what that means is you now formed a belief that diets don't work for me. And then maybe you tried something else and that didn't work. And maybe the doctor told you that you had something with your thyroid or something else was going on. And then what that means is that you started believing that you're different, and so it's not going to work for you. And then maybe you got older, which we all get older, and friends were telling you it gets harder as we age. And then what that means is you start solidifying this belief that nothing's going to work for me, and I've got something wrong with my thyroid or my health, and now I'm getting older, so it's just too hard. So we start believing that. So then we hear noise of something else, and it's comfortable for us to believe that things don't work because we're different. It's comfortable for us to believe that because that's what we know. That's what we've had experiences with, right? And when we get stuck like that, we really make it very difficult to break through things, because you have these thoughts and beliefs that you've generated from life experiences. You have validation from doctors, friends, whoever else. We're getting older. You've got this entire environment set up to validate this belief that you have. So then someone comes in and they say, oh, try this. And you go to, I've tried everything, but I'll try this. But we're coming into it with all of those same beliefs and patterns and past experiences, and we set ourselves up to maybe have failure again. Who knows that story? Because I know that's a common thing with a lot of people. And that's why when someone says to me, I'm going to try this, I know that comes with a warning of, my gosh, okay, what else was in their past? Because I don't know what you grew up with, or what the doctor told you, or what your friends are telling you, or what your work environment's like. And so you have all these beliefs that are dictating your future behaviors, right? They're dictating your future behaviors. And I know that most of you here right now today, you're not interested in just losing weight. Like, that's on the forefront. Like, you might think you want to lose weight. That's why you came to me. But I know that it's bigger than that. I know that you want to be more confident. You want a bigger life. You want to achieve better goals. And when we don't feel good in our own skin, that gets in our way of that, right? That gets in our way when we don't feel good in our own skin. I know it's like, I know that to be true. Most women, and I don't know about you, but I don't know any woman, do you know any female that is like completely happy and loves their weight and the way that they look? Like, I don't know that I've met one yet. I might hear them briefly say it, but like, you could be a supermodel talking to me and you'd still pick yourself apart with something. So confidence is super important, and so many people are not feeling it. Okay, so what does all this mean? So what this means is I'm battling with you a lot of past beliefs, and I recognize that. So what I want you to open your mind up to is that it's time to create new thoughts and take new actions so we can form new beliefs. Because if you come to this challenge right now today with all these old patterns of thoughts and beliefs, then we're going to waste time because you'll get stuck again. So first step is recognizing that, and absolutely recognizing that. And I want to show you something. So this is my friend Nicole. This is when I met her, right here. This is Nicole on this picture right here. And when I met her, she was a different person than she is now. And I'm going to share her full story with you in a moment, and what she did and how she created this change in herself. But what I want you to know is when she came to me like this, she didn't come to me because she saw me on the doctors or saw me on Women's World or Muscle and Fitness. She didn't care about any of that. Like, she didn't care who I was or what I was. She came to me woman to woman saying, I don't feel good in my skin. I don't feel good about myself. This is not who I am. And I don't feel good about myself. And I've tried everything. And when I asked her what's going on with her life, that she feels it's not working, like her job wasn't working. She wasn't as excited about her job. She wasn't excited to go out. She wasn't excited in her personal life. Her confidence was shattered. because of how she felt. Now, she's a beautiful girl, but this is who she was at the time. This is who she was. So she came to me woman to woman and was like, I don't feel confident. And that's so hard for me because I want everyone to feel that confidence, because that's when big things happen. That's when big things happen, when you feel that confidence. You all know when you feel you're on fire with your job or being a parent or whatever, when you're feeling good about yourself, you get this new sense of energy. That's what I wanted for her. So what she was struggling with is something I know many of you are struggling with, right? The confidence and just not feeling good in your own skin. And what we had to start with is something I shared on the challenge this morning. And that is a decision, like making a definitive decision. Like, this is the line in the sand. This is happening. Making a full decision that you're done with what's happened in the past. It doesn't matter. New line in the sand. This is happening right now. This is changing. And I just want to show you where she went. This is her now. So the woman here is a completely different woman than this woman here. And the only thing standing between these two women right here was she had to decide that she was going to have different thoughts and take different actions. That was what had to change to go from here to here. She had to decide that. And that's step number one, is literally making a decision. Now, the next thing when it comes to deciding is, who are you telling that you're deciding this to? Because there's a lot of times that we'll decide something, but we keep it to ourselves. We keep it to ourselves. And if we keep it to ourselves, that's not a full declaration. Now, why do we do that? We do that for a number of reasons. We might do that because we're scared deep down that we're going to go back to old patterns. We might do that because we're scared of failing and showing up to somebody when we've made a declaration and we didn't achieve it. But what that really means is that you're not fully convinced yourself you're ready to go for it. Because think about a time in your life when you made an absolute decision. When you made an absolute decision. And think about a time when you declared it to somebody. What happened? What happened? When we make a decision and we declare it publicly to somebody else, those results happen. I know you all know what I'm talking about. There's been times in your life where you said, I decide, or this is happening, I'm declaring it, and it happened because you made that first decision. So the first step is making that firm decision and declaring it and saying, this is what's happening, and it's happening by this time, and I've decided. That's step number one. Step number two is getting really clear on all these false assumed truths that are coming up for us, because there's a lot of them. Remember, your best thinking got you exactly to where you are right now, here today. So what that means is your best thinking can't get you out of where you are today. You have to add new stuff in. You have to add new stuff in, because if you stay convinced that your old thinking is the truth and is the only way, then nothing I teach you or nothing you learn from this day forward is going to stick, because you're going to be stuck on that false assumed truth. So what's an example of a false assumed truth? A false assumed truth is, I'm too old. That's a false assumed truth. And the reason it's a false assumed truth is there's no hard evidence. Like, if you can't say black and white evidence on something, then it's not true. Because there's some people that are not too old, right? Some people are, some people are not. If it's not black and white, then it's a false assumed truth. A false assumed truth is, genetically, I'm big boned and I'm overweight. Okay, let me tell you, Nicole thought she was genetically overweight and big boned, but do you think this girl does? No. So it's a false assumed truth. Now, it might feel very real to you, but it becomes this belief that's not serving you. And what that means is you get stuck in that body you're not feeling confident in. Another example of false assumed truth is a diagnosis. Now, hold on before you jump off the Zoom. I get diagnoses are very real. Like, you very much could have something with your thyroid or a number of things. You have arthritis. There's all kinds of things. I have my own diagnosis on things. However, what we decide with that thing that the doctor told us can be a false assumed truth. So you're told you have this, so now you form a belief that your body is not going to do something else. That's a false assumed truth. Because I'll tell you, for every story of every diagnosis that somebody has that has this horrible outcome with it, there's somebody else that has that same thing that had different results. So they become false assumed truths. And if you let that stuff dictate who you are and what you can step into, you will stay stuck. And what that means is nothing changes. Nothing changes. So a lot of times somebody will ask me, I have XYZ. Do you think it's possible for me? My doctor told me this. Do you think it's possible for me? Now, my slogan, you guys, is excuses or solutions, you decide. And I'll say that over and over again. My slogan is excuses or solutions, you decide. Now, I don't have that slogan to be mean and not compassionate, because I do have compassion. I have compassion for all types of people. But I also know the second I validate an excuse, then I'm basically giving up on any higher potential for you. The second I say, you know what, you are right. That sucks. You are right. How am I helping you step into a better person? So what I'm going to say to you is, it might be harder for you. It might take longer. It may be more challenging. You might not love it, but there's absolutely a way. Many of you came in and found me because of a Facebook Live I did or my podcast, and I've shared this story many times. I'm going to share it again because it's really a critical one. There's a woman I interviewed on my podcast. Her name is Janine Shepherd. You can Google her. You can see her movie. You can listen to her on my podcast. She was an Olympic athlete. An Olympic athlete. Imagine this. People called her Janine the Machine. She was hit by a Mack truck head on. Imagine that. You're riding your bike, getting ready for the Olympics, training with friends, and you're hit by a truck, a Mack truck. She wakes up, she's had been airlifted to a hospital, paralyzed, told she'd never walk again. She wanted another opinion. Next doctor, you'll never walk again. She heard it over and over again. You'll never walk again. She decided that she was not going to let that dictate who she was. She wasn't going to let them dictate who she can step into and become. So she searched. She wanted to find evidence of somebody else that maybe could walk that was paralyzed. She searched. She worked. It wasn't easy. She found help. She found research. She studied. She learned how to retrain her brain. She is now a documented walking paraplegic. She's one of the only ones in the world. She's a walking paraplegic. I mean, how amazing is that? Everyone would have been enrolled in her never walking again. They would have understood and given her pity and felt bad for her. Now, does this mean I can't have compassion for somebody that can't walk? Of course I have compassion for them. But that's an extreme example of what the power of mindset and belief can do for somebody. If she could do that, why can't we lose the weight or achieve goals? I mean, that's just incredible. And there's countless stories like that, where we take a false assumed truth and find evidence of something different. Find evidence of something different, and it changes things for you. I'm 47 years old. I feel like a great 47-year-old. We can find lots of 47-year-olds that feel great as a 47-year-old. I can also find a lot of them that feel old, too late, dated, over it. We can find evidence of either one. So what are we choosing to find evidence of and support? What are we choosing to look for? So part 2 of this morning's assignment, which I didn't do on the live, so I wanted to keep it super simple, but I want to help you all have some big shifts, is to really dive into what are some of those false assumed truths that you've been telling yourself. What are those things that you have believed? Have you believed that things are too hard, that it's too late, that you're too old? What have you been telling yourself? What do you believe? Because if we keep believing those thoughts, things will not change. Things will not change. In a few minutes, I'm going to shift over to, as I promised, to getting into some diet, because I want to give you some actual diet and workout information like I promised. But before I do that, I wanted to bring this topic up critically, because this will happen even on the meal plan, and even as I share nutrition with you. Somebody's going to say, and I mean, it happened today. I've gotten questions about, why can't I do this? Or I always believe that, or this or that. And I'm going to say, if that's working for you, keep doing it. But those thoughts, those actions got you to right here, right now. So what do you have to lose? Listen, ladies, I kill fat for a living. I'm very successful at it. I could give you a whole list of accolades. That's what I do. I kill fat for a living. You've got me this week. Let me help you, but I want you to trust the process. You can always go back to what you were doing. You can always go back to what you were doing. I promise you, you're not going to have issues eating carrots this week. Like I had somebody ask about carrots having too much sugar and why am I, you can have carrots. Carrots are fine. Vegetables are unlimited with me. But I want you to really look at what truths are false that I'm holding on to. What fat am I holding on to? Not just the fat on your body. Are those false assumed truths I am believing over and over and over again? Because they are holding you back. They're in your gap. And get really clear with that. And then what that means is you get to shift them. We get to start shifting them and creating a new story, which makes new possibilities. You can't solve the problem you're in with the same mind that created the problem. You can't do it. You can't solve the problem you're in with the same mindset that created it or the same actions that created it. So we get to do something totally different. And it starts in our mind, in changing our state. So people that work with me, clients that work with me, and that do my programs, they always say they came to me for fat loss and they felt like they left having therapy. So that's not my intention. But what I do share and what I do teach is a ton of shifts of mindset. And I don't just talk about change your mindset. I teach it because that is that missing link. I showed you Nicole's. I could show you more. I could show you Terry's. I have hundreds of these. All started with this shift. So you guys in? Are you guys in on shifting your thoughts this week? Okay. You can always go back. I mean, really, like it's 5 days, right? You can always go back. But I do want to get real with you, and I want to be really upfront with you. And many of you know this because I did share when you joined the challenge. So the reason I created this challenge is I have a program that's called the Full Body Reset, and we're going to get more into that later this week. But Full Body Reset is my complete 6-week program, and it is my diamond program that does everything. Like all these transformations I'll show you went through Full Body Reset because I take you through a process to fully change your mindset and learn nutrition and really learn a new way of working out so that it sticks. And what I love is when I talk to my clients, many of you might have heard Terry on my podcast recently. When I talked to Terry, she's like, Natalie, I don't need you anymore. I'm like, good. I'm glad she doesn't need me anymore. She needed me a lot initially, but I want you to the point where you don't need me anymore. Like you're busy with your own happy life. You don't need to come to me. And that's the goal. My Full Body Reset does that for people. It gives people radical results. However, not everybody's always a candidate for Full Body Reset. And that'll be a decision that you make later this week. But not everyone's always a candidate for it for a number of reasons. And I wanted to do something where I can give you a sampling of what it's like working with me so we can feel each other out. Like this way, you get to try on what I teach, what I do. If it resonates with you, awesome. If it doesn't, then I still love you anyway. But at least that way we're giving it a try together and you might, you could complete this week and have exactly what you need and be fine. But I do want to get real. I want to get real with you and be really upfront about this, that committing to me for 5 days is a start. It's a beginning. So what you do after the 5 days is going to be everything. So you'll see some changes. You'll feel some changes if you go all in these 5 days, but then you'll have a decision to make. Do you carry that on into your new life on your own, or do you do it with me in Full Body Reset? That'll be your choice either way. But I just want to be real. This is not like 5 days with me and then we go back to old thoughts and patterns. So you'll make a decision this week. Like, is this a new way that you want to live and be? Okay. Sound good? Okay. Before I jump into nutrition, any questions on this part so far? Feel free to raise your hand physically. I'm going to scroll real quick and I'll call on you if there's any questions so far. And then Liana, you can, if you see anything on the comments that you want to read up, you can do that. And I'm going to jump over to nutrition. I don't see right now. Let's see. Chats right here. Let's see. Okay, so yeah, I see the question about the meals. I'm gonna answer that on this and the intermittent fasting. I'll answer both of those in just a second. Okay. Okay, let's see. I got a hand from Christine. I'm going to unmute you. Christine, hi.
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 How are you? I'm all in. My main thing is a single mom of 3 boys, and it's all about, I guess, getting motivated.
Yeah, I totally get it. I totally get that. Yes. What I want you to know, Christine, and I'm gonna help you through a lot of this over this week, but what I want you to know is that I'm gonna keep repeating it. And again, I don't mean it to be not compassionate, okay? So remember, I wanna speak into what I see possible for you. So I wanna share that there are countless stories of women that single mom, didn't have money, didn't have like lots of things coming up for them, health, and they still were able to find a way. It becomes a priority decision because you can be there for your kids at a whole greater level when we get through this. And I also want to share, and I know many of you don't know this about me, so I'm going to show you this picture. I want to show you when I first built my business, this was me. Can you guys see that picture? Now I have a newborn on my lap here. Can you see the picture? I can't see myself, so okay. So I have a newborn on my lap there, but I want you to know that I was 60 pounds heavier than I am now, which might not sound like a lot, but I'm 5'2", so it was a lot. I was also going through a divorce at the time. I was becoming a newly single mom. I was, with the time, it was 2000, do you remember what was happening in 2008, 2009, around that time? 7 to 9. Housing market had crashed, stock market had crashed. I had lost everything. My house was about to be foreclosed on. So imagine this, I'm single mom, overweight, going through a divorce. I'm about to lose my house.
Oh, yes.
I was working full time, and I felt like I literally did not want to live. I mean, the only reason I is I had a daughter. And I thought, what am I going to do? Like, I have to be a mom for my daughter. I was miserable. I didn't want to get out of bed. I didn't know what to do. Now, I went through a journey, and I'm going to teach you a lot of this week on this journey. This is where a lot of what I teach started from. But mindset, changing my mindset around things was everything, and finding solutions. My slogan, excuses or solutions you decide, was born from that. Because what I had to do is stop those false assumed truths from everything it was telling me. You can't afford a gym. Okay, I can work out at home. You can't afford healthy food. Okay, I can eat unprocessed food and I can get what I can afford. I'm drowning in debt. I had to like literally stop those things coming up for me and focus on some type of gratitude every single day and what I could do. So this week could be really powerful for you because I'm going to talk a lot about things that we can add in that take a little bit of time, like very little, and that don't require a lot. And it's a change of mindset on how we do, and we can start to be empowered. And what I'd recommend for you too, Christine, through this with me, but also others, is to continually find evidence of other single moms that did it.
Yes.
I hope that supports you.
Yes, it does.
Okay, awesome. Okay, I'll take another question before I jump over to nutrition. Let's see. Oh, hi, Jill, iPhone. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Great, how are you?
Good. My biggest issue is sugar. I can't stay away from it. Even if I'm not craving it, I just want it.
Yeah, I get it. Okay, I'm gonna address that. I'm gonna go jump into nutrition in 1 minute, and then I just wrote that down. I'm gonna address that, the intermittent, the timing. I'm gonna address all that. So stand by. Thank you. Okay, any questions around the first portion about changing your state or any of the mindset stuff I just shared with you before I jump over? Let's see. Hi, Maria. I see you. Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing good, thank you. For me, my issue is I'm a very active person, but every time I go forward, I fall back.
Yes. Okay. I love it. Okay. Good.
So what happened is, yes, I'm active person. I've been enjoying gym and workout for almost 12 years already. Okay. But I never get to go or reach the goal that I want. I'm fit, but I'm not the way I should be and I should feel.
Got it.
And when I fall back, I feel like very down, oh my God. For example, I was stuck in 150 pounds and I'm only 5 feet.
Yeah.
And 150 pounds for like 4 years. And I tried everything, my yoga, everything, and nothing worked until this past June. I think that I set my mind and, losing weight and get better on my health for me. And I start, trying to download apps to eat with calorie counts and all that. So I've been learning.
Good.
And I dropped the pound, but I still have my 10 pounds left, okay?
Yeah. Okay, so Maria.
And I'm here because I just want to completely have my mindset, and only for a short period of time, for continue working towards my healthy lifestyle. That's what I want.
Okay, Maria, do you want some feedback and some coaching right now?
Yes, and I'm gonna be 49 on May.
Nice, like it, I love it. Okay, so Maria, and this is good for everybody hearing this because I know a lot of people can relate. So Maria, and I'm saying all this, I swear I'm saying it with love, okay? Because remember, my slogan's excuses or solutions, you decide. And I kill fat, so false assume truths. Okay, I heard in your languaging 4 things that you said, I wrote them down. You said, every time I do this. You said, it never works. You said, I try. And you said, I've tried everything and nothing works. Okay, did you hear yourself say those things?
Yes.
You know what those things are?
Yes, what is holding me back?
Okay, those are your beliefs that I was talking about.
My belief.
That is the system you have been trained in. That is your current beliefs. That is what is in your gap. That is what is stopping you from becoming your higher self. Those beliefs. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. So what that means is those beliefs have to go.
Okay.
What that means is until you get rid of those things and start training yourself the opposite, you're going to get stuck.
And I have a question. So those beliefs goes towards your profession, your life, so everything?
Bingo. Okay. Everything. Yes. Everything in our lives. Everything.
I'm trying to accomplish, and I have in my mind, and I have my visions, and I have my vision boards, everything. And yes, I've been accomplished a little bit, everything, but it's too much that I want to. Yes. And I feel like something is holding me back.
Yeah, I can see what's holding you back. It's this. So you have a project to do, Maria. I'm going to teach you this week about nutrition and workouts and all of that. Great. But your bigger project is this. We've got to get your mindset right. We've got to change. We've got to catch yourself on these thoughts. You guys know that we have an average of 30,000 thoughts a day that we think. 30,000 thoughts. What are those thoughts telling you? Your thoughts are telling you everything doesn't work, never trying. So those thoughts, that's like somebody in your ear telling you this stuff all day long. So it gets very challenging to get results when we're doing that. Okay. Thank you. There you go.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Languaging is important, not just what we're saying to others, what we are telling ourselves is the critical thing. And if we're telling ourselves these things, and I know most of you on here, we have them. I have my own false assumed truths. We have to start recognizing them because the key to killing the fat is killing that fat too. It's killing that fat. First and foremost, it doesn't matter what, I'm going to give you a great nutrition plan. No question. It doesn't matter how good the nutrition plan is if we get stuck on those beliefs. I'm telling you that no matter what. No matter what, we got to change that. Okay, thank you for sharing. I'm going to jump over a little bit to nutrition. Now, every day, this is sort of what you're going to expect on these Zooms. By the way, I'll start with some type of mindset motivation here, diving into that, and then I'm going to get into nutrition and then the weight. That's how we'll sequence this out, and I'll take questions in each section like that. Okay, so let's talk about, I'm going to talk about diet for a minute. Now, when I was the girl that I showed you the picture of, when I was her, right here, okay, feeling depressed and miserable and overweight, for me, that was a lot. I didn't feel like myself, and I remember going online and searching how to eat right. Like, I wasn't a nutritionist at the time. I certainly wasn't in fitness. I remember going and searching, like, what do I do? And I was so confused. I mean, and this was 11 years ago, so it's even worse now. Like, I didn't know what all this stuff was. I'm like, do I do this? Do I do that? Do I give up sugar? Do I give up fat? Do I intermittent fast? Do I IFOM? It was so overwhelming to me, and I honestly did not know what to believe and what to do, and it was confusing to me, and it set me up for failure. And what that meant was I was going to keep validating beliefs that I should be overweight, that my metabolism's changed, I had a baby, whatever. It kept reevaluating, kept doing that. So I thought there has to be a simpler way. So I, on my own, went and became a licensed master sports nutritionist to learn how to change my own diet. And what I found was so cool because it was so simple. I'm like, so what I'm going to teach you this week is going to blow your mind, not because it's like, oh, wow, this is crazy science and Natalie's a genius. It's going to go, wow, this is like super simple and logical and it makes sense and this is working. That's what I want. That's the breakthrough I want around this for you. I want this to be easy because I think it's a pain in the butt to try to count macros and calories and do all this stuff. I want to make this easy for you. Now, somebody asked me about intermittent fasting on one of the questions. Do I think it's bad? No, I don't think anything's bad. Here's what I want you to know though. If you can't do it for a lifetime, that's a problem because then we get into a mindset problem because now we're miserable and now we don't have a life because we can't eat other than 4 hours a day. So if it works for you, amazing. For me, that's crazy. Like I don't want to just eat 4 hours of my day for the rest of my life. Like maybe sometimes, but not every day. I'm not going to argue with the science behind it. Like, great, that's awesome if you can do it. But can you sustain that for a lifetime? Now, you can do intermittent fasting the way I teach you to eat. Absolutely. What I want you to learn is what I call unprocessing your diet. Now, my very first book, many of you have it, was called 7-Day Jumpstart Unprocessing Your Diet. And I remember when I was getting it together for the publisher, I thought, are people going to like this? It seems almost too simple. But you know what? It works. It works. And that's what I still teach. I just up-level the process of what unprocessing your diet looks like as we get through different ones of my programs. I make it a little bit, I give you more information each level. So for the sake of what we're doing these 5 days and what I hope will be the foundation to carry you through for the rest of your life, whether you do full body reset or not, is that what I want you to look at, and this is going to be new to you, to some of you, is instead of looking at all the things we can't have, I want you to start looking at what can I have? Like, let's focus on the good things we can add in versus what I can't have. Because something happens in our brains when we're allowed to do things versus we can't have. Like, you tell me I can't have something and I want to kill you. I'm like, what do you mean I can't have that? Like, I want to be able to have what I want to have. But I want you to get in the habit of I'm going to add in so much of the good that makes less room for the bad. So first and foremost, is anything off limits? Not technically. You could do what you want. Everything has a category. However, we're going to focus on, can we add in more of the good in a way that we're not hungry, we feel content, we feel good, we don't have cravings, and we have our focus back, our energy back, that we feel really good. I mean, who wants that? I want that. So that's what I want to teach you. So for the sake of nutrition this week, what I want you focusing on is, number one, unprocessing your diet, which means if it's a food that once grew in its most natural state, it's okay. It's okay. Now, what does that mean? Well, that means in the protein categories, chicken, fish, steak, shellfish, even Greek yogurt would be fine. Anything, an egg, proteins in their most natural state are fine. Now, if you add batter and deep fry it and put it in a box, that's a whole different story. Then it becomes a processed food and we have other issues there. But in its most natural state, that's great. That's great. Now, I could get into more specifics, and I don't want to overwhelm you these 5 days. Like, could I get into a whole conversation around organic or not, or no antibiotics? And yes, I can go on for days about that, the kind of meat, like all that. I'm not doing that this week for you because I want to keep this simple and I want to set you up to win. So right now, this week, for your proteins, and I want you to have protein every time you eat, you pick a protein that works for you, that you like, and you want it in its most natural state, which means an ideal choice would be a piece of grilled fish or chicken or some eggs. A not so ideal choice, but it would still be protein, would be like a McDonald's chicken sandwich without the bread. Okay, I'm not going to tell you to go eat McDonald's, but I wanted to point that out as, could you have it? Sure, it's the protein. You could have that chicken. Probably not the one I would choose, but you could have it. Okay, so we're not going to get nitpicky on what are you choosing. I would prefer, like, for instance, if you're going to have turkey sausage or turkey bacon, I get nitrate free. That's what I would prefer. So there's always ideal, better, not so good. I'm not going to lie. There's been times I've been on the road and I couldn't find protein and I went to McDonald's and got a chicken. It's not ideal. I probably hid walking in there, but I had it. It doesn't matter. Don't beat yourself up. Move on. So you get to choose your proteins. I'm not a huge fan of protein powder, but you absolutely can have protein powder if you like the one that you're using and it's a natural brand. So just look at ingredients, be smart about it, read what you're having. Know if you can define things, it's okay. And we can recommend some if you're interested in that. I would prefer real food. That's what I'm going to say. But if you're a protein powder person, if that's something that you love, you absolutely can do that. No, I'm not going to challenge you on that. My only thing is just to read ingredients. Just get something that's natural that you feel good about. I'm going to get into artificial sweeteners later because I really don't want artificial sweeteners. That is one thing I'm really strict about. Okay, so that's protein. So everyone clear on protein, and I'm going to answer more questions. But protein, any protein, and I'm going to address the vegan thing in a minute, by the way. If those of you are waiting that want that, I'm going to come back to that in a minute. But protein, you can have that, okay? The next level is the carbs. Let's talk carbs. I am not a carb-free person or a no carb or a low carb. However, I have different categories of carbs that I teach, different categories. So vegetables, Natalie Jill calls them, the fat killer calls them unlimited. If it's a vegetable, it's unlimited and you can eat away. Let me tell you, the obesity epidemic in this country or in this world is not because we had too many vegetables. I'm gonna leave it at that. Nobody is obese because they had too many carrots. Sorry, end of story. It's true. Like, this has gotten ridiculous in the diet industry. Like, you do not have a problem because you have too many vegetables. We need more vegetables. There are so many phytonutrients in vegetables that keep us healthy, keep us strong, help us heal, help us be focused. Vegetables are good for us. Eat away your vegetables. Now, I do want to share that a potato is not a vegetable. So let's get clear there. I'm going to come back to potatoes. That's not a vegetable. Okay. However, vegetables are fine. Somebody just asked, what are your thoughts on juicing greens? I am totally on board with juicing greens. You can absolutely have that. If it's greens you're juicing, go for it. Okay, so first and foremost, vegetables. Yes, and neither is corn. Thanks, Elizabeth. Neither is corn. Corn and potatoes do not count as vegetables in my book, and I'll come back to those. But corn and potatoes, they're still natural, but they're not what we're counting as unlimited vegetables. So think greens like zucchini, squash, broccoli, spinach, kale, all of it. Lettuce greens, unlimited. Celery, eat your heart out with celery. You don't have to measure your celery sticks. Carrots, all of it, eat them. Okay, great carb. We need carbs. Love them. Sweet potato is also not counted a vegetable. It's natural, but you absolutely could absolutely have those. But we're gonna come back. So vegetables, first and foremost, my first priority choice carb. You can't get enough in. In fact, the more vegetables you get in, the better. Eat away. If you want fruit, I am fine with fruit. Stick to the serving size. So let's be realistic here. Like size of your fist. So apple, orange, kiwi, just stick to your portion size. Can you have fruit and vegetables? Yes, because vegetables are unlimited. So if you want a piece of fruit with your meal as your carb, you can still have vegetables too. There is one exception to fruits, and I seem to always confuse people with this, but I can't leave it out because it's just such a great treat being on my programs, is I make all berries unlimited. You can eat as many berries as you want. That's a Natalie Jillism thing, because I know a lot of plans will make you measure your berries. Berries are so low glycemic, so low in sugar. I don't have a problem with berries. Again, it's very hard to overeat berries. Now, if you are somebody that deals with heartburn regularly, you have acid reflux, maybe you don't do well with berries. Maybe. But for the most part, or tomatoes. But like for the most part, you can have berries on my plans, okay? Any other fruit we're gonna measure and watch. Now let's talk about the starchy carbs. The starchy carbs are sweet potatoes, rice, yams, oatmeal. Those are ideal starchy carbs. Those are more natural. They're in their most natural state. Now a donut is a starchy carb too. So is a muffin. So is a cookie. But that's not my ideal choice. That's not my ideal. So could you have a muffin, a cookie? You could. It's not ideal. Remember, there's good, better, best. So if you want a starchy carb, while you're with me this week on these 5 days, stick to 2 a day. 2 a day. You choose wisely. If you want a half a potato, size of your fist, half a potato is a good choice. Half a cup of cooked oatmeal, a good choice. Cookie, not such a good choice, but you could do it. Okay. Now, my request is if you do have a starchy carb, just appease me for these 5 days. do it gluten-free. Because I want you to feel it. I like to take out, now I'm a celiac, so I have a big reason for that. But I also help a lot of women with autoimmune, and I help a lot of women with inflammation. And one of the things I definitely take out is gluten for that. Nobody has ever felt worse taking gluten out. I'm going to promise you that. So give me 5 days. I'm not telling you that you're allergic to it and can never have it again, but give me 5 days without it. Okay? So that's carbs. Let's talk about fat. Fat is also good for us. And when we don't have fat, then a lot of things happen. When we don't have fat, we have more cravings, we get hungrier, we absorb our food a little bit too quick sometimes, we get insulin spikes. So fat is great, it's necessary, it's important. So just like the starches, the carbs, everything else, there's good, better, and best. The ideal fats are gonna be natural things like avocado. I'm a fan of coconut oil, despite what the news says. I love coconut oil, olive oil, lots of fats to choose from there, okay? But you want about the size of your thumb, about a tablespoon per meal. So you wanna think about the size of your thumb per meal. So every meal that you have, you wanna look at, am I having a protein? Am I having carbs? And am I having a fat? Now, I know this might take the 5 days to fully grasp this, and if you do full body reset, it really sticks and it really goes in. But this is what, I wanted to give you a general overview of this. Lena, good question. How do we know if it's gluten-free? So, okay, so if it's, Lena, if it's in its natural state, it is gluten-free. That's the first easiest rule of thumb. So if you look at potato, gluten-free, rice, gluten-free, oatmeal, gluten-free, wheat, we wouldn't eat raw wheat, right? I don't know anyone that gnaws on just wheat. Wheat is gluten. Wheat is the protein found in wheat, rye, and barley. Wheat, rye, and barley. So if you stay away from processed foods, it's very easy to be gluten-free. No unprocessed food is gonna have gluten in it for the most part. So if you stick with the rule of, I'm gonna have unprocessed, natural, real foods, that's the easiest way. Now, if you must have a muffin or a cookie and it'll say gluten-free on it, but I would love if for the 5 days you would stay away from that. Okay, now pearl barley would have gluten in it, you're right. So that would have, okay, now what about wine? Let's talk about wine, because everyone wants to know about wine. Okay, wine is an alcohol, it's separate. If you must have a glass of wine, yes, I'm telling you, you can have wine. You're gonna count that as your starchy carb. It is not a starchy carb, but that's what you're gonna count it as. So if you're like, I'm not giving up my wine, I'll do this challenge, but I want my wine, then don't have your starchy carb. Have vegetables instead. Deal? So you can have wine. Okay, somebody asked about sugar earlier. I want to circle back to that. So what you should expect if you stick to this for 5 days, like fully stick to this the way I'm talking about, the way that I outlined in the guide, and you balance your proteins, carbs, and fats, you should stop having sugar cravings if you stick to this. What's going to create sugar cravings? Not being in that balance. When we have too many carbs and not enough protein and fat, we will trigger an insulin response, which will make us more hungry, and we will crave more sugar. Sugar does a lot of things for us. Right now, your body is wanting sugar for a lot of reasons. It helps keep us alert, it wakes us up, it feels good out of boredom, it tastes good, a lot of reasons that we want it. But then what happens is if we don't balance how we're eating, we start really craving it. And it becomes an addiction, like we need to have it, we have to have it. So what I want to challenge you to is if you spend 5 days like truly eating the way that I'm talking about, like proteins, healthy carbs, the right fats, and you balance it and you don't have the added sugars, that will stop. Now, what I didn't share is that artificial sweeteners, the fake sugar, is even worse than sugar for cravings. Because when you eat artificial sweeteners, your body thinks it's getting those calories and it's not, so you will continue to crave. You will continue to crave sugar. So what I want to share is that saying I'm addicted to sugar, I have to have sugar, I need sugar, all that, might be true to you, but it's also a false assumed truth. So just be aware of that you can shift that by shifting how you're eating and how you balance your foods and staying away from it. I know darn well right now, if my daughter brings in those Easter Peeps, which I'm obsessed with, and they're terrible, it's like partially hydrogenated oils fried in sugar basically. If I have a Peep, I will eat 10 boxes of them, like no question, like just being real. I will eat all of them because I will not stop because my body's going to secrete insulin. It's going to get low on blood sugar. I will get obsessed with Peeps, and I will tell all of you that I'm having Peeps and whatever. Who cares about Natalie Jill Fitness and whatever. That's what happens if I have Peeps. Do I ever have them? Yeah, I'm human, but I know the consequences coming with them. It's going to send me on a downward spiral. So 5 days to see how you feel different. Now, women that have done my 6-week full body reset, like they don't want sugar again. They're done. They're like, they feel so good in 6 weeks. They're like, I don't want this. And that's what I want for you. Somebody asked about coffee. Coffee's totally fine. And you want creamer, that is totally fine too. So listen, if you want your creamer and coffee, level 1, sure, you can have coffee, have the real cream, full real cream, count as your fat. That's one option. What I do is I do coconut creamer because I do stay away from a lot of amounts of dairy, me personally, and I teach that in my other programs later. Don't worry about that right now. And the reason I say that is if I give you too much information too soon, it's too overwhelming. So I do coconut creamer. So it's dairy free, and I use like the full fat, and I count that as my fat, and I have that. And then I add collagen. Yes, great. You can absolutely add collagen and all of that. What about Trader Joe's almond milk? Totally fine. Stevia is totally fine too. So seeing those questions come in. So you can absolutely have your coffee. So we're going to focus on what we can add, adding in unprocessed natural real foods, and balancing protein, carbs, and fats. Now let me touch on the vegan thing real quick because I want to just address this. So if you are a vegan and you're doing it for religious, ethical reasons, I totally respect you and love that about you. And I'm not going to try to change you. What I will share is I am not a vegan, and I do not believe in it myself for long-term health or for fat loss. I can't get behind it. Does that mean it's not possible? Of course it's possible. I have great friends that are vegan and are thriving and are healthy and amazing. I'm not the person to help with the nutrition plan for that because it's not what I believe and what I've helped with. Okay. However, you can still follow what I'm doing here, and to the best that you can, add in unprocessed foods and follow this. With a vegan diet, especially if you're struggling with fatigue or weight loss, like maybe you're feeling like I always hear the skinny fat, or you're not feeling toned and all that. What I want you to look at is if your diet is heavily based in grains and legumes and beans, those act as starchy carbs in your body. And they are going to create an insulin response. And when you're secreting insulin, you are not burning fat. And you are going to have all those things. So the way a vegan does it super successful, the ones that I know, the ones that look like bodybuilders or fitness competitors that are like have it all together and look amazing as a vegan, they are juicing a ridiculous amount of vegetables. They are blending, they are combining. They spend the majority of their day preparing food to get their nutrients in through vegetables. So it's not as easy as it looks. I love it that you're doing it. You can get the same health benefits having a heavy plant-based diet by eating a lot of fruits and vegetables and nuts and seeds and nutritious foods. So that's all. I'm not going to change you away from it. I just want to be upfront that it's not like I can swap out chicken for, a soy patty. It's just not the same thing. It's not the same thing. I'm also not a fan of soy because it is estrogen producing and it does create other issues. So I'm not a fan of it. So vegetarian, however, absolutely you can follow my plan, especially if you're a vegetarian that eats eggs, you eat dairy, you're fine. So you just swap out best you can with that, nuts, seeds, dairy, eggs, and we're happy to help you however we can with that, and a good quality protein powder for sure. It's just the vegan, I wanted to be upfront. It's just very hard. It's hard to do, so I stopped trying to create a plan for vegans around that, okay? So that's what I've got there. But if you are a vegan, still jump on for the mindset, for the workouts, and make it work and make it work best for you. Okay, any questions about the nutrition that I missed out on? I want to take a few of those before I jump over to the final part of this call today. Okay, raise your hand like physically or with the cartoon so I can see if you have a question. And let's see. By the way, if you guys end up doing later full body reset, this is the type of thing that I go deep into, like each category. Like I go into what happens when you eat sugar, or what happens when you so you can learn so that you start making decisions and changes based on knowledge versus on like Natalie just told me. So I go deep on like the why things happen. You guys have all heard that saying, teach a man to fish, he eats for life, but you give him a fish, he eats for a day. I'm kind of giving you little tidbits right now, but if you end up doing full body reset, I go deep on all this. So it's like ingrained in you and you fully understand. Okay, let's see. Tina and Elizabeth, I see your hands up. I'll go, Elizabeth, do you have a question right there? Hi, Elizabeth.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, you know what? My biggest problem is restaurants. What
Okay.
do you order? I mean, do you just get like grilled chicken all the time? Ask them to make it plain, because I've heard that the sauces that they add and any
Yeah.
of those things are the worst thing for you. But still, sometimes if you just get like grilled vegetables, they do saute it in something
Yes.
or garlic paste or something.
Yes.
How do you go about that? I mean, we
Great
try to pick
question.
and choose, but having kids and playing in sports, you're always
Absolutely.
ending up somewhere. What is the best option to choose all the time?
Yes, that's a great question. So what I do is I look at the menu first and I just think, okay, what sounds good to me? Like, what would I like? And I look at that first, and then I look, okay, is the majority of this unprocessed? Is this natural? Is there like simple modifications I can ask of them? So no, I don't get the same thing all times. What I might go to look for is, like, let's say I see fish on there and it's like with a heavy sauce and all kinds of sides. And I'll say, hey, is there a way I can do the fish sauce on the side with some vegetables? I'll ask for modification. Or a safe bet is always to grab a salad. So unlimited vegetables, ask for the protein you want on top, and then know that you still get the fat. So maybe the dressing goes on the side. So it's not perfect necessarily, but you're still sticking in those categories, protein, carb, and fat. You can really do that with almost any meal. So like, is there something that, like, even sushi, I'll think of, like, I love sushi rolls, but instead of having like a heavy sushi roll with all the sauces and creams and fried, I might get like a plain rainbow roll. So it's mostly fish, a little bit of rice, and it has avocado. Okay. So to me there, I've got my protein, my carb, my fat. So rice might not be my first choice, but that's what I'm having right then and there. Or I go to, I'm like, really anywhere. Like, you go to a Thai restaurant, you could pick some that's vegetables with the protein. So it's just a matter of making those modifications based on what you want, not having them remake or create something totally new for you.
Okay, and maybe ask them to keep it portion controlled, because I know the serving size is humongous.
Yeah, so if you're sticking to the right balance of protein, carbs, and fats, what I find happens with many people, and I think you'll experience this too, what I find happens is that you won't end up eating the whole thing. So if you because what happens if we eat like an entire pizza, for instance, it's mostly carb, right? So we're hungry, we want more. Or pasta, we want more, we want more, we want more. But how many times have you overeaten fish and broccoli? I mean, I'm just being real. Like, if any of you ever overeaten fish and broccoli, because I definitely never have. Like, it's almost it's almost impossible to overeat those like balanced, healthy foods. So if you think like, am I getting a natural protein? Am I getting good carbs? Am I getting healthy fats? And you just take in what you can eat, and just the goal is like, stop when you're feeling good. Like, it's about never being hungry, never being stuffed. Like, just that middle ground. Like, can I just stay in this middle ground?
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, let's see. One more question. Let's see. Do you eat every 2? No, you do not need to eat every 2 or 3 hours. That's a great question. So that's old research, you guys, and I love that. I used to teach that actually all the time. That's what I thought, is that we used to be taught that if you don't eat every 2 or 3 hours, like, your body's basically going to eat your muscle, there's no research supporting that. That is not true. And what happens when you eat every few hours is you keep secreting insulin and we're not burning fat. So earlier I talked about intermittent fasting. I'm not a fan of that, but I am a fan of what I call modified fasting. And modified fasting means that you are giving your body some type of break in between meals and longer at night. Because if you give your body a break to fully digest and not secrete insulin, you're going to make great gains with fat loss, weight loss, focus, energy, everything. So a good way to start is just listen to your body. Eat when you're hungry. Eat when you're hungry, stop when you're full, and get rid of the I have to eat every 2 or 3 hours. Another thing I love to do is stop eating at a certain time at night. So I know many of you heard over the years, like, stop eating after 5 or stop eating after 6. It's not about the time of night. It's about giving your body a break until the morning. So if you stop eating at 6 and keep it clear until 6 the next day, that's 12 hours of your body resting, and that's great for fat burning. So I like the idea of modified fasting, giving yourself a longer span at night, giving yourself a gap between meals. Nothing wrong with that. So somebody asked earlier too about, like the timing and do I have to eat the snacks? No, you eat when you want to eat. It doesn't matter to me whether you have your breakfast at 5 a.m. or 12 p.m. That's up to you. When you want to eat, you eat. Do you have to have snacks? No. If you're not hungry, don't eat it. You don't have to eat it. Is that clear, you guys? Clear? Okay. Lena, you have a question? Lana, am I saying your name right? Sorry, Lana.
It's Lana.
Lana. Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
Sorry. I thought I could sneak a load of laundry in here. I didn't realize you were going to put me up. I guess I actually just typed it into the chat. If we're in a position where we followed the meal plan and everything's going well, and then suddenly we're like starving, is there one food group choice that would be better? Like a protein would be better than choosing
Good question. Good question. So first of all, I don't ever want you starving. So if you're feeling like, you guys know the difference between cravings and starving, like, right? Like I'm just like, I think I want something, or if you're starving, we're not eating enough. So double it up, add more. You can up all of that. You can up proteins and vegetables and the fats before you up the starchy carbs.
Okay, that's kind of what I was.
Starchy carb is the only thing I don't want you upping. But you can absolutely add more fat, add more protein. Like I hate giving ounces of protein because it really comes to listening to your body and who the person is. Like there's times I've had 3 ounces of protein. There's times I've had 9. It just depends. Like, what are you feeling? What was your activity level for the day? Listen to your body. I don't want you starving at all.
Okay. And that's the thing. It's like sometimes when I get like that, it's like, okay, well, another piece of chicken doesn't sound good, or yes. I can't find a particular protein that I think is going to make the hunger go away.
Yeah, so think through this for a minute here too. I want you to try this on for a thought. If we're really like starving or really hungry, really we'll eat anything. Like we'll eat the piece of chicken. But when we're craving, like we have to get really clear on, is it out of boredom and cravings, or am I actually really hungry? Now what will take the edge off a lot is something that's protein and fats, which I count as a fat on my plans, but like nuts or nut butters, like almond butter will tend to satiate people with that. So that might be something you go to, like an apple and some almond butter to help with that, help take the edge off. Okay.
Perfect. Thanks for that.
All right, I was going to go into workout, but I also want to be really aware of the time here. So I'm gonna hold that conversation for tomorrow, and I'm just gonna leave you with this on the workouts, and I'm gonna go a little bit deeper on that part tomorrow. In the challenge, there's a couple things that are happening there for workout stuff. One of the things is every morning I'm gonna be sharing one move only, and I would, no matter what else you're doing, whether you're not working out at all or you have a whole nother workout. Butter, somebody wrote peanut butter and I said butter. Sorry, I'll answer that question in a second. Whether you are working out intensely on your own or you're not doing anything, I still want you to work on this one move a day because it's only going to be 5 minutes. And I have a point behind that. I want to show you what some body weight exercises can do to really change and tone your body. So I can change your belief around that too. So I'd love for you to do that. Additional workouts, I also, in that guide, link to some of my favorite YouTube ones if you want a little bit extra, but anything else you're doing is fine too. It's not necessary, but it's fine on the point of this challenge. I'm going to answer this one more question right here. Somebody said, is almond better than peanut butter nutritionally? What that's coming from is peanut butter is actually not a nut, it's a legume. And I can find research either way. But that there's aflatoxin in peanuts, which is a mold, and some people are more sensitive to it. But what I have found in general is that it doesn't work the same as fat loss and cravings as almond butter. So I keep almond butter on my plans because I also stay away from legumes and beans for the most part. So if you're obsessed with peanut butter and that's your go-to guide for fat, then have it. I prefer almond butter, but it's not off limits. You can still count that as your fat. So I hope that answers. All right, guys, I hope this was helpful. Just a couple quick things. I'll be back live at 6 a.m. tomorrow in the group to share the challenge for the day. I'll be back on Zoom tomorrow night, same time, same place, same number right here. We always record it and send it out after. You've got the guide in the group. Join the group if you haven't. And then just for those of you thinking about full body reset later, I am going to open enrollment for that on Thursday morning. And I will have limited spaces in that. So if you decide that that is something you want to carry on with me, I'm just going to be upfront with you that as of Thursday morning, there will be an open enrollment for Full Body Reset if you want to be one of the people in the 6-week program for that. Okay. Thanks, you guys. Bye. Thank you.